you're not going to get 8 runs a game, but to put something together like that, especially like the 4th and 5th innings where the at-bat quality was really, really good and made Boz work, because we know he's got elite stuff. So for us to be able to put those at-bats together there, and again, the pitching was great too, so it was a really well-played game.
Boss, you know we finally here, right?
Well,
It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday.
It's Friday again. It's Friday, Sunday. It's Friday again. It's Friday, Sunday. It's Friday again. It's Saturday, Sunday. It's Friday again.
I thought the hands of time would change me.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you so much for joining us. Stephen St. John here with Jake Gutierrez. Coming up on the show, we'll talk to Stan Weber like we do every Friday. He'll be with us just after 6:30. Then we'll get the weekend forecast from Jeff Penner. Mike McFarland will be back with us just after 8 o'clock to get his thoughts on the Red Hot Royals. Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride will talk some football with us. And then Tim Grunhard will be in studio. Our first chance to talk with him about the entire Chiefs draft and what's happened since then. So it'll be good to talk to Timmy. He's been in Florida for a while. But he's back. And I'm sure that he's glad to be with us. I'm just going to assume. Probably rather be in Florida, to be honest, but here we are. We can't help that, can we? Man. This week flew by. We're getting there, man. May is going to be crazy. May is, it's going to be May. See, you like that? You have a lot of fun with May because like May 4th is May the 4th be with you. And then everyone has that meme, Justin Timberlake. They played that you posted that the last day of April. It's gonna be May. It is May. And May is loaded. So, and we got great baseball right now to watch. As the Royals win again, they sweep the Rays on the road. And now they go to Baltimore. Yeah. That's right. A very eventful May. So tonight I'll be part of the big event down at the Uptown Theater. What are you laughing for?
I started watching Four Seasons last night.
Did you?
With Will Forte, who will be a part of the events.
I wish I would have been home to do that, but was it good?
Yes, it was fun. It's geared towards probably older crowd.
What the hell's that supposed to mean?
I mean, some middle-aged people, probably right in our wheelhouse.
Oh, I thought you were saying older than you. Like,
no,
what are you?
no, like we're kind of older now.
I feel like that's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's good.
I was a big fan of the show of the movie. So
see, I haven't seen the movie, so I mean,
okay.
I need to. But there's you'd mentioned the actors when Billy was in the studio, and Alan Alda,
yeah,
Alda, he's good too. He makes a little cameo in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that makes me want to see it even more.
Yeah.
Because I love the first one.
Yep. Not spoiler
it's basically about 4 couples that vacation together all the time, and they're a big part of their lives, like socially and everything else. And so then at one point, one of the guys, it's always these four couples, right? And one couple is Alan Alda and Carol Burnett. So anyway, out of nowhere, one of the couples breaks up because the guy is dating a much younger woman. And so then the next time they all go on vacation, he forces her into the group, and there's a lot of angst and anger.
So
and,
yeah,
and
I only watched 2 episodes.
but
last night.
it kind of goes from there. So
I watched 2 episodes, and it kind of plays like that. There's only 3 couples in this one,
okay,
but there's only 2. There's only been 2 episodes. So, and they're on vacation for a weekend up in upstate New York.
right.
So it's good. Steve Carell's funny.
And see, in this one they go through the 4 seasons. And do they do that as well?
Well, I assume they do,
Right.
Because like the first episode, they had spring. It's right now it's springtime. There were 4.
Will
corners.
Forte, Steve Carell, Tina Fey.
Yep, and then a couple other actors that I had to look up they're really good. There's one guy, this Italian guy who hadn't really been in a whole lot. Marco Calvani.
I'll say Marco Marquez.
No, he was good.
Anyway, Will Forte is one of the stars of the new show, The Four Seasons on
He's great.
Netflix, and he will be the host of Game Night, presented by Steps of Faith tonight at the Valentine Room at the Uptown Theater, and it's sold out. And so I'm just mentioning this to you because I'm happy to be a part of it, and I'm one of the guests of Game Night, hosted by Will Forte.
One of the contestants.
Is that what I am?
Sure.
Okay.
If you're playing games, it's a contest.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know the games now. I know.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Care to share?
No.
Win, lose, and draw?
See, I don't,
I only say that because Billy kind of mentioned that.
Yeah. I know there's,
I'm so bad at that game.
see that, I don't know how I'm gonna perform. I'm a little nervous about it, but it's for, it's for charity, it's for fun. And so I don't,
I'm not a very good artist in terms of drawing.
it's going to be Guess That Groove, which is similar to Name That Tune.
I think you'll be good at that.
Will Lose or Draw.
Yeah, so yeah. That's the game. There might be a little twist to it.
Steps Family Feud. And Box of Possibilities. That's the one that has me nervous. Box of Possibilities.
The feud sounds great.
You know how you see people with they're blindfolded and they have to put their hands in a box and figure out guess what it is? Yeah.
A little Fear Factor-ish.
Yeah, there you go. So there we are. Thank you. Thank you, Jake. I'll be doing that tonight. So I'm looking very much forward to it. And it's a big night for our family because Richie St. John's playing bass for Dola White, and they are headlining down at Grinders, Crossroads. And so he'll be on stage down at Grinders, and I'll be on stage at the Uptown Theater. And if we get done early enough, me and Mama St. John are going to race over to see Richie close the show on stage down there at Grinders with Dola White. So the Zeros and also Disco Dick and the Miraballs down there. So that's going to be a big show. And hopefully they'll be as successful as the Royals were in Tampa. Wow. Royals have won 9 of 10. We wondered how they would respond after losing 8 out of 10 on the road in their last road trip. And they have responded very well because they came home and they swept the Rockies. They won 2 out of 3 against the Astros. And now they have swept the Rays before they head to Baltimore. And remember, Buster Olney from ESPN told us yesterday that Baltimore is ripe for the picking. This is the right time to be taking on Baltimore because there's a lot of anger in Baltimore about ownership not capitalizing on a wonderful group of prospects and not adding the needed pieces around these prospects that have come through their system. and they have not supplemented them with the needed free agent or trade acquisitions. And so many people feel like perhaps the Orioles have wasted this window of opportunity. You saw them get to the playoffs last year, and they have not done well in the playoffs. And you saw the Royals take care of business against them, and so now people are wondering in Baltimore, are they done with the playoffs for a while? We'll see. They're in a really tough division, and they do have some high-end talent, although they've been battling injury. But that's not our problem. That's Baltimore's problem, as the Royals come to town red hot. And now the Royals have put themselves back in position to where they are above 500. They are 17-15. They remain 3 games back of Detroit and a game and a half back of Cleveland, because Detroit's won a couple in a row and Cleveland's won 3 in a row. But there's certainly separation there between Detroit, Cleveland, Kansas City, and the other 2 teams in the division, as Minnesota has lost 3 in a row. They're 13-19. And the White Sox continue to be awful. They're 8-23, although they're coming off a win. And so congratulations to them. But this is playing out very similar to what I thought it would be. Detroit right now at the top. That's the team that I think is the team that eventually Kansas City is going to have to overcome. And maybe, look, and Cleveland will be right there. Cleveland could end up being right there. It could be one or the other, but when people asked me before the season, who do you think is the toughest team in the division besides the Royals, I picked Detroit, but Cleveland's always going to be there. So it looks like, and after we've sat here and watched the first 30-some-odd games, it looks like and feels like a 3-team race. Now that the Royals erased that bad road trip and are on fire, winning 9 of 10, and are back in the thick of things in the AL Central. So that's good. And yesterday, look, the pitching, when you only give up 3 runs in 3 games, you're going to win at least a couple of them. Now, I know the Royals have challenged that because they have been averaging just over 3 runs a game. But, I mean, my goodness, if you go back to the Astros series, they gave up no runs in the first 2 games, but then they gave up 7 and lost 7-3 in Game 3. But now they're back at it, giving up very few runs. They gave up 1 run in Game 1. They shut the Rays out in Game 2 and only gave up 2 yesterday. And so giving up 3 runs in 3 games, that's a recipe for excellence, and that's what we saw from the Royals as they get the sweep. They win the game and sweep the series 8-2 yesterday against Tampa. Bobby Witt Jr., the criticism that people have had, because it's fact, he hasn't hit for power yet. It's hard to criticize him because across the board he's been very, very good. But let him get hot. Let him start hitting some bombs. And he hit one yesterday. He hit home run number 3.
He's bringing power
off Shane Baz, who is a terrific pitcher. And that's another thing, that Baz has been having a really good year. And the Royals jumped all over him and scored 7 runs and put up 9 hits and 3 walks in 5 2/3 innings against one of the better pitchers in the American League so far this year. But if you look up and down the roster, you'll take it. Vinny Pasquantino had a couple of hits and a couple of ribbies. Salvi had another extra base hit. I mean, what can you say about Michael Garcia? He just keeps chugging along. He was 3 for 5 yesterday. And also, for you lucky roto players or even daily fantasy players that have Michael Garcia, 3 stolen bases won't hurt your feelings. That's a nice little pat on the rear right there from Michael Garcia. 3 for 5, 1 scored, 1 ribby, and 3 stolen bases against Tampa yesterday. Fermin continues to hit well. He had a couple of hits. Drew Waters, and this is what we said. You don't have to be the star. You don't even have to be a star. Just hit like a professional hitter. Just show that you be a threat. Be a threat. And that is something that at the plate, MJ Melendez, and I keep bringing him up, but we have to because he's part of the story so far of the season. He was not a threat at the plate. I mean, Royals fans felt threatened when watching him. The season felt threatened. And so he was not a threat. And Hunter Renfroe right now is not a threat at the plate. Drew Waters is 2 for 5 yesterday. So he's up to 290 with a nice 333 on base and a 452 slug. Again, if he's going to hover anywhere close to an 800 OPS, he will stay in the lineup. And that would be very good. He can play all the positions, played center field and right field yesterday. And again, 2 for 5 from Drew Waters. All right. Doesn't have to be V-star, doesn't have to be A-star, just has to be solid. Just has to give some production. And he's been very productive. And so that's very good. It seems like Vinny's snapping out of it. Michael Massey was 1 for 4 with the ribby. And those are the two guys that we identified earlier this week that, man, they got to be better than this. They have to be. Because they've shown they're better than this. And if Vinny and Massey can both get hot at the same time, Salvi's getting there. Bobby Witt Jr. is already there. India, you got to mention India. He went 1 for 4, but he had 2 walks. So he's on base 3 times. And then Mark Canha, he can hit, 1 for 3 again with a walk. And it's in very limited duty, but he's hitting 345 with a 412 on base. Nice, quiet, under-the-radar acquisition at the end of spring. But it's just, man, how important have some of his at-bats been. And just to have a guy like that to be able to give you a professional at-bat. So, good stuff from the Royals as they win 8-2. And very, very much looking forward to seeing what they can do against Baltimore. Also tonight, Jake, if I mentioned I'll be at Steps of Faith, game night with Will Forte. But I will be keeping my eyes and ears open afterwards, as there is a very interesting triple header in boxing live from Times Square. Have you seen the setup for the
I haven't
for the ring?
Yet. I'm
pretty
curious.
cool. It's outdoors. It's in Times Square.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, check it out.
I will. I mean, I plan on watching the fights.
Well,
live.
You're going to have Ryan Garcia, who I was told by my daughter to talk nicer about him.
Yeah.
Because she likes him very
Selena,
yes, she likes him very much.
Yeah. Well,
she likes him very much.
We might need to sit her down.
Well,
I like him very much too, but
she takes a very, she says, maybe he had a problem and maybe he got help for it and he's better now.
Oh, he definitely has a problem.
Yes. And she was, look how cute he is.
Well,
look at his hair. Look at him when he smiles.
I root for the guy because.
Well, she does too. I do too. But I can root for a guy and tell you he's ding dong.
Yeah,
he's like
crazy.
Woo.
Yeah.
And hopefully he's gotten whatever he's been dealing with fixed.
Yeah. And
I think some of it was.
Bad management.
I don't know if all of it was genuine. I think he kind of played into some of it.
I do believe
to get
some
in Devin Haney's head when he fought him.
Some of the craziness that he talks about, I kind of believe it.
But also he should stay away from social media when he's having fun late on a Friday night, whatever. But the point is, if he's right, he's a hell of a fighter.
Yeah.
He's got some of the fastest hands in boxing. And
super talented.
He's very exciting to watch. And Raleigh Romero is just he's goofy. He may walk out in a fur coat and he hits really hard, but he gets hit, and there will be something spectacular that happens in this fight. I'd be very, very surprised if that fight goes the distance. So I might sniff around the under if you're looking for a prop bet there.
Garcia's a heavy favorite.
Because the only the only chance that Romero has is to land something big. He's 0 chance of outboxing Garcia, and so he has to land something big. And Ryan Garcia, what's his problem? Sometimes he gets hit.
Over under
Right.
6.5 rounds.
Ooh.
Minus 125
That's
over.
why Vegas does what they do. I was going to tell you the 7th round, but
Minus 110 under.
because Riley has moments like early in a fight. I don't know. I was going to say 7, but now I have to think about that. Why is Vegas so good?
There's a lot of people.
But Teofimo Lopez, you don't know what you're going to get with him, and he's in the most competitive fight by far. That's going to be a really good fight. And then Devin Haney. And look, the thing about Devin Haney is when you get beat like you did against Ryan Garcia, and you can say whatever you want about the fight being overturned and PEDs and whatever Ryan Garcia was doing, Devin Haney still got beat like that in the ring. And that damages a fighter's psyche. And it's always very interesting to see once he's back in the spotlight again how he responds to that. And the first time, if he does get clipped, now he could go out there and fight a safe fight and never get touched because he's that good of a boxer. But if he gets hit, if there's anything that happens that's not according to plan, it's always very interesting to see how a fighter responds once they've been through it and once they've been through a beating like he took at the hands of Ryan Garcia. And then tomorrow night, Canelo Alvarez fights William Skull in Saudi Arabia. Skull's a Cuban fighter, good boxer. If he decides that he's not going to engage, he's going to get on his bike and just move and box and not give Canelo a chance to land anything big, then it could be he could go some rounds. He could give Canelo some issues. But Canelo needs to win this fight. He wins this fight, and then you've got the super fight against Terrence Bud Crawford coming up in September in Las Vegas. It always scares me, though, when you have a fight that's already set, a big fight ahead of you, and you got one more fight that's a quote-unquote warm-up or just a mandatory defense. I hate that many times I've seen in my life. Something happen. Or even a cut or something bad, an injury could affect it. So I don't care how Canelo wins. I just want him to win and not get injured and not get cut and not do anything to jeopardize the fight in September in Vegas against Bud Crawford that I would very much like to attend.
Here's
And by the way, I've been told that I can.
You cannot?
I can.
Oh,
I've been told that I can.
Yes. Yeah, we need to start planning now.
Well, I've been told that I can because Susan says I can go also because you'll be taking me.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is. You know what? That's
family outing.
That's pretty good negotiations right there.
Well, she's smart.
Yeah. That's what I said. I'd really like to go to the Canelo Bud Crawford fight if it happens in September. She goes, okay, so then where will we stay? And what I go, there was no there wasn't really any negotiations.
Right. Well.
So let me know so I can let work know when we'll be leaving and when we'll come back. And then she goes, we, all the way home. I said, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
5-leg parlay, straight winners. Canelo, Teofimo, Ryan Garcia, Inoue, Munguia. And get it at minus 133. Those 5 winners.
All right.
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
It's not great, but
you know what? It's not bad.
Right. I feel fairly confident.
And Inoue is on Sunday in Vegas.
Right.
So, yes, we'll briefly sit down in a commercial break and go over a few things.
Okay.
And so we'll build an SSJ, New Day with SSJ parlay, a New Day parlay to see, and maybe you could post it on the New Day X account.
Absolutely.
We'll see if we can get anyone else to lose money with us.
Hey, it's fun to watch. Some good boxing this weekend.
And then we'll all be mad together.
But we'll have enjoyed ourselves.
Oh,
it's for
there's always one
entertainment
fight in that parlay that pisses me off. I'm like, why? Why aren't you throwing punches? Or to the judges, how do you give him the decision?
Right.
That's what really sucks.
Yeah.
When you think you've won the parlay, and then you lose on split decision, and then you take a long walk, and you question everything that you believe in. Big sports weekend, so there you go. Anything else you got for the sports? Anything you're excited about? Looking forward to?
May the 4th,
Oh, yeah.
It's a sporting game.
Are you going out there?
I probably not because I'm working on.
That's the media game, though.
It is the media game.
I would imagine that you would like to at least see that
I would.
so you could fire off some insults on Monday,
Of course, I would.
Yeah. But you're not going to.
No, I don't believe I will.
Okay. What do you got? Oh, you get Star Wars?
Well, I mean, Saturday might be a long night.
I don't know what that means.
Well, that Sturgill Simpson's coming in town
Oh.
Saturday night.
You watch a Canelo fight with him? So are you going?
I'm working on it. I really want to. I mean, yes, I'll be there.
Do I have to step in?
We'll see. I might need your help.
Because I want you to go.
Yeah, I do. I want to go.
And I
bad.
want you to be there.
He's playing at the.
Do you want to be there?
Yes, I will. I'm planning on being.
But
I will be
listen
there,
to me.
even if I have to.
My point is, if you put your mind to it, if you say you're going to be there, you're going to go.
Yeah,
and
I'll
you
be
want
there.
you
I'll
need to be there.
I will be there.
Okay, that's all right.
You can count on that.
Speak it into existence. That's what we do
It's
around
happening.
here. All right, there you go. See Jake at Sturgill Simpson on Saturday night, and go up and ask him about any parlays he might be. Well, and you got to. You'll be paying attention.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely.
Little quick peek.
Yeah.
In between, Sturgill Simpson ain't going to mind that. He probably has a good parlay here and there. He'll get it. We'll take a break. Stan Weber, I don't think Stan has any parlays, and if he does, he certainly won't ask Jake about them. We'll take a break. Back after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Welcome back to the show. Dude, I'm in chill mode. What does that mean? I don't know. It means that I may or may not have spent 2+ hours in Target last night. So I haven't said we're not going to be here very long. Come on, girls.
I spent some time in Target last night, but not 2.5 hours.
Well, part of it was my fault.
Yeah. Part of everything's your fault.
Right. And part of it wasn't. So I'll take some I'll take some blame. You know. Stan Weber's here. Stan, good morning. How are you?
Fine, no target for me.
Yeah, well. Did Brett Veach hit his target in the draft?
How about that? Brett Veach made a comment before the draft of some needs that the Chiefs may have, some areas that he may see important. And he mentioned the offensive line and tackle, then the defensive tackle, and the defensive end positions, strong positions, and cornerback. Uh-oh. Exactly the order he set them in is exactly the way the Chiefs draft.
What up, Veach?
How about that? Simmons at tackle, Norman Lott at a defensive tackle, Gelati at defensive end, and Williams cornerback in the exact order he talked about. So I thought that was pretty interesting when you hear back some of the audio from the pre-draft discussion.
Maybe we should open our ears when Brett Veach talks before the draft.
Very much so.
All right.
He and his staff will give some information.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's great. Did you get a chance to listen to us discuss, or did you read the article of The Athletic, Inside the Draft of the Jacksonville Jaguars? I thought, I read that. Man, I hope Stan reads this. This is...
Oh, I have not heard about this yet.
It's awesome. It's
great.
And so basically, there's a writer was embedded with...
Was it Michael Silver?
Was it?
I think so.
And the new GM Gladstone that looks like he's 15 years old that came from the Rams.
You're being very nice.
And they're
Could
going
be 13.
Yeah, they're going through everything. But so there was a scenario.
It was the right place to be, huh?
Oh, it was great. But they talked about them wanting Gelati, the edge rusher from Louisville that the Chiefs took. They wanted to take him at 70. But then as they started getting closer and closer, they started to get phone calls from some other teams. And the Rams, his old boss, they were calling. And then the Lions were calling. So there was 3 scenarios. 1, they trade the pick to the Rams. 2, they trade the pick to the Lions. Or 3, they just keep it and hope that one of 2 players falls. There a running back, Liam Cohen, the new head coach, was demanding that they get this certain running back and trade up for him. And Tony Baselli and Gladstone wanted Gelati. And so then when they're discussing, figuring it out, they find out that the Chiefs took him, and they're like...
At 66.
Yeah, 4 spots ahead. And so they didn't know who the Rams were trying to get. And so then there's a point when he writes about it, Gladstone said, yeah, the Rams are out. They wanted Gelati.
Oh, wow.
Because they had offered next year's second-round pick.
No way.
To move up. And they were going to have to just to fall back 10 spots. It was really, I mean, that stuff right there what I'm describing to you.
Oh, yeah.
It was so cool to listen to that. And they're talking about it. And earlier before that, the running back goes off the board. The Broncos took him, and they ran out to tell Tony Baselli, because Baselli had gone to the snack room to get a quick snack. And he said, they said, the running back's gone. And Baselli said, who took him? So the Broncos. He goes, bastards. I just like, highlighted in the article, Tony Baselli calling the Broncos bastards. And so then, number one, it shows there were some other teams that were trying to trade up to get Ashton Gelati, the edge rusher from Louisville. And number 2, I love just the access and the behind the scenes. And because we always wonder, like, how does that work out? Like, when you got multiple teams trying to do a trade, and you're sitting there and you don't know what to do, and you're thinking, okay, do we get this edge rusher, the player that we love so much? And like Jake and I differed about this. Jake said, they're offering me a second-round pick next year. I'm taking the pick. And I'm saying, well, you know what? But if you love the player, if you've decided this is your guy, get your guy. Because, I mean, you know what? You don't want to see him. If you have a chance and they want to see him go be a star someplace else, I don't know. You should read it. It's great.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Sounds
great.
You
And-
like Gelati at all? There's other teams that were all hot and heavy for him. Makes me like him more. Let's go. His mom's a strength and conditioning coach. They say he's a leader and exactly the kind of guy that the locker room will love. George Karlaftis is his mentor, and he works out with him. So there's a lot of things you like there.
Yeah, I think edge rushing is something the Chiefs can improve on. I think they do need to play better at the defensive tackle position to help Chris Jones out, get a little more push. And if they're going to double-team Chris Jones, have someone else slice through. You saw the Eagles come up there with 4 big guys who could all put pressure on the quarterback, and that was the difference. Almost every NFL team has edge rushing capabilities, and the Chiefs are really below average in that area. They're solid, but they're not dangerous out there when an opponent looks at them. It's the blitzes and the guys who can come off the edge and make plays with the Chiefs and how they come out. The Chiefs blitz the 3rd most in the National Football League, and yet they're a Super Bowl level team. A lot of times you find Super Bowl level teams and they play more conservatively and don't do the exotic things on defense. But with Steve Spagnuolo, you are going to do that. But now if you can get a little edge rush, look what an advantage it was when the Eagles said we only are going to rush 4 in a Super Bowl. You don't have to do it every play. I don't want Steve Spagnuolo to not blitz. It's awesome what he does. But how about if his default, his changeup is, we're going to rush 4 and get some pressure off the edge? That'll be really good. That was interesting in this changing era of college football. The Chiefs' top 2 picks, 3 of their 4 top picks, and 4 of the 7 overall played at more than one school. And we're just getting used to that. But you'd think that when you get this level, the top 3 rounds of the draft, probably they're so good and they played at one school. That's not necessarily how it works anymore. And you just look at the Chiefs draft.
They used to highlight that when a guy would get drafted, like, you know what? He transferred. He played at 2 schools. Like, wow, okay. I wonder what that was about. Now
is he committed?
Can you believe this? This guy played at the same school all 4 years. And you could be like, wow. I wonder why no one else wanted him. How come he stayed there?
Exactly.
We're gonna flip
it's fun.
Okay, so here's the part of the article. I love this so much. There's a small excerpt from this article at The Athletic. Now, there were 3 scenarios. Try to close the trade with the Lions, accept the trade with the Rams, or stand pat and take the player they wanted. Before the discussion could begin in earnest, a collective groan filled the room. The Kansas City Chiefs, with a pick acquired from the Titans in last year's trade for cornerback L'Jarius Sneed, snagged Gelati with the 2nd pick of the round. With the Jags selection just 4 picks away, quick decisions had to be made. And then Tony Khan steps in. Well, now the Detroit trade sounds good. And Gladstone says, I love it. Then, gesturing to Director of Player Finance, Trip McCracken, formerly of the Chiefs, greatest name in football, Trip McCracken, he was communicating with the Lions' chief operating officer. The GM explained, let it rip, baby. Detroit was not ready to make the deal, however.
New phone, who dis?
The suspicion in the Jags draft room was that the Lions had been targeting Gelati. Also, something going. A few minutes later, McCracken called back for a status check. They're considering it. The Patriots took Washington State receiver Kyle Williams with the 69th pick, putting the Jags on the clock. Gladstone brought up the Rams trade proposal. That future 2nd-round pick will likely be late, but a second is still a second. Finally, McCracken got clarity from Detroit. Detroit's in if you want it, he announced. Seconds later, Gladstone fielded a phone call and grimaced. The Rams are out. Guess who they wanted? Gelati. And so he was thinking about, he wanted that 2nd-round pick, he decided, and he called him back. Okay, come on. Like, nope.
Well, this fits into
No, thank you.
This fits into a philosophy that we've talked about on the show that I have. One of the best ways to evaluate what you've done is to think what your opponents think of it.
Yeah. Oh,
his
stock went way up after this article for me.
Like when Mizzou makes a decision, you think, what does KU think about that? And it's a good indicator because they have no agenda other than the raw evaluation of not wanting things to go well for their opponent. So hearing things like this helps you feel good about Ashton Gelati.
It's also the teams, right? Like if they're talking about like the
Detroit.
Panthers and the Browns trying to trade up. Like,
Yeah.
oh boy, I don't know how I feel about him. But the fact is, Detroit and the Rams,
Teams that want to get to the Super Bowl.
right, that seem to know what they're doing, and the Rams seem to be able to draft pass rushers. I'm thinking, oh, well, Detroit
Rams
and
like
Detroit
him.
has been successful. They're like, okay, if the Lions and the they like him and the Rams like him, well, now I like him more. So
That's good.
is that right, Jake? Like it was the team's part of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, a big part of it.
Right, and
A big part of
also
it.
this even though Gladstone's with Jacksonville, he's just come from the Rams, and he had his eye on him, and so now I'm look. I was
Not
excited
surprised
anyway,
the Chiefs
but-
make good decisions, and
Yeah.
not surprised other people in the NFL go, ugh, when the Chiefs make these good decisions.
That was the best part. A collective groan filled the room. The Chiefs have taken Gelati. What did you think of the defensive tackle that they took out of Tennessee, Omar Norman Lott? And look, people have pointed out, well, he was a part-time player. He only averaged 17 snaps a game, but others have said Tennessee had so many defensive linemen, and also somebody suggested to me, I told you I got a text from somebody, a coach, that said that was a Tennessee problem, not an Omar Lott problem. And so I reached back out, and then he clarified to me that, and this is something you'll love. You're talking about how NIL affects the draft. He said at Tennessee there were some defensive linemen that playing time was dictated by their NIL and the money that they were being paid.
Whoa.
And that's guess what? That's not unique to Tennessee. That's something that teams that we don't even think about, and we're looking at, well, how come? Why was that playing time like that? Well, that's part of a deal for NIL. You got to play this much or whatever else. And someone suggested to me that was one of the reasons that he didn't get quite as many snaps as you would think with this production. So that's kind of interesting to me.
It is. It's the one position on the field, though, maybe a little bit like running back, that you're not expected to play every down. Not in the National Football League. And right now with this Chiefs situation, Chris Jones does not rotate out at an equal level. A lot of teams play 60% the starter, 40% the backup, and you roll. Chris Jones takes more snaps there. So the Chiefs don't have as many snaps available in that interior defense. But any team, even the Chiefs, are going to rotate those guys. In the offensive line, you have your 5 guys start the game. Guess what? Those 5 guys usually play every play of the game unless there's an equipment issue or an injury. That's not like that at the defensive tackle. So you have plenty of room, Stephen, for saying what were the issues with the lack of playing time. Is it because he's not in great shape and he gets worn out too quickly? Well, it's not an issue. They're not going to play you if you're getting worn out at all. The second the defensive line coach sees that you're dragging a little bit, gasping for air, they go sub in. No one's upset. That's what the defensive line coach does over there. He's watching to say, are his guys fresh? Because the defensive coordinator doesn't care which of the defensive tackles are in there most of the time. You just get used to rotation. The question is he going to be able to pass rush from the interior in the National Football League? It looks like he has that spark, that capability to do that, a maneuverability that you don't necessarily see with defensive tackles, because that is a condensed area in there. And sometimes you just are big and strong, overpower people. You don't have to have great moves, but he seems to be able to slither, turn, show that athleticism. That's good. But I think he's a risky pick, not that he shouldn't have been taken. He just could blend in and be another defensive tackle that's a non-issue. You don't get many sacks from the defensive tackle position in the National Football League. That's just the way it is. And if you cannot round out your game and be able to play against the run, screen passes, and things like that, then you're going to be taken advantage of. So it's very interesting. He has the potential, though, the prospect of being able to rush the quarterback. If you had 10 defensive tackles, probably from the SEC, right? I mean, that's where they come from in a draft. If you had 10 defensive tackles, how many of those guys really, I'm talking about top-level players, draftable, second-round, third-round guys, how many of them, Stephen, really can rush the passer? Not that many. So this gives him a capability that could spark. And you look at this draft, I think it's a big theme of this draft. The Chiefs went and got people that have some issues, like Josh Simmons. Either get a great pick late or you get a guy who's injured, not an ACL, but a different injury, and you say, well, what happens if he just doesn't ever play as well as he should for his whole career because of that injury. Well, that's a possibility. But if he steps up and plays like he did early in the year for Ohio State,
It's a steal.
it's a steal. So you go down and you look at Royals at wide receiver. He didn't play the end of the year. A foot injury. Whoa, a foot and a wide receiver. This could be lingering. Or you could say, wow, did we get another guy who's like a mini Rashee Rice?
He was supposed to go in the second or third round.
So, and Norman Lott is the type of player that brings capabilities, a certain aspect that you can't get other places. Gelati puts pressure on the edge. I think the Chiefs are at a position, basically division champions, AFC championship game every year. Patrick Mahomes is there. They're looking for little extra things. In baseball, you might have a player who just hits for power. We need some home runs in our lineup. Well, what about all the other things? You go, well, if we're so good that we have all the other things, we just need a guy who produces some power, could pinch hit once in a while. That seems very limited. That's not the type of player Cleveland should be drafting, like you mentioned. They need an all-around player who's going to be a leader and play every down. Chiefs don't need that in Norman Lott. They just need someone who will learn from the other guys. But if he could rush the passer and Chris Jones lines up on third down, what are they going to do? They don't have the numbers. And if they add a tight end or a running back into the blocking scheme, they're done. Does that make sense? You've got to send all prospective pass catchers out. All eligible receivers need to go out to have a chance to complete a pass against the Chiefs. If you say, we're going to leave in a running back or a tight end to block that interior defensive line rush, they're dead.
So listen to this clip. We played this earlier in the week, and this is one guy that loves Omar Norman Lott. This is Trevor Sikkema, NFL draft analyst. I resent that to you, Jake, because I know your time is precious. And so here he talks about Omar Norman Lott being one of the best defensive tackles in the draft that nobody is really talking about. So let's hear what he had to say.
He's just too good at the things that I gravitate towards for a three-technique defensive tackle. He is so explosive off the ball. His hands are heavy and violent. They move very fast. He's got pass rush moves already. He's got a nasty stack and shed. He has long arms despite being shorter, which is the best part of being, that's what you want from a three-technique defensive tackle, because that means that you're naturally going to play with leverage, and then you also have a length advantage to you. It's a double positive. So you take that with explosiveness, pass rush moves, and an innate ability to get into the backfield. I think his pass rush win percentage was like 18% this past season. I'm in, man. When he pins his ears back to go, he has better traits than basically everybody that's not Mason Graham, and I'll throw Walter Nolan in there as well.
He had an 18.9% pass rush win rate, which was number one in college football amongst defensive tackles. And I'll say this, I know the Chiefs do a great job of building a roster before the draft where they don't have to, they're not desperate to draft any position. But I do think they got through the first round, no defensive tackle was there that they loved, and then they get to the second round and say, you know what, we have to take a defensive tackle because we still really haven't replaced Turk Wharton. And he led the team in sacks.
Yeah.
And I think this is a direct replacement for Treshaun Wharton, which, you know what, if you do that for one pick, that's all right because they
and you get younger.
Yeah, right. That's
and
the one thing they needed.
If he turns out to really be a pass rusher, he may be filling in for Chris Jones' role after Chris Jones cycles through, retires, or whatever. But right now, think about this. It's going to be a step up to go to the NFL. I'll give you that. But he's going to be singled. When Chris Jones is in there, the double team of the three linemen who are available, they're going to go to Chris Jones every single time and dare Norman Lott to win his one-on-one battle.
I dare you, Norman Lott. We'll take a break. Back after this on WHB.